Meeting voted on it the Thursday, a week from tomorrow at town council.
Okay.
Lori, who did the sidewalk,
Oh, yeah. Great choice. Great choice.
Fran, you ready?
Crowd out tonight. Can't find the.
Good evening. We'll call to order the, I can't read,
8th.
May 8th Planning and Zoning meeting. Most of you have seen the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So approved.
Seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, the agenda is approved. Item 3 on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the April 10th Planning and Zoning meeting. Does everybody have a chance to review them? There's a second to approve the minutes?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved from the April 10th Planning and Zoning meeting. The next item on the agenda is to review and discuss, and I'm not sure review is necessarily the word I would use, but to discuss and a request to reopen the 18th Street entrance and solicit public comment on that. What I would ask is, I got a call just so everybody understands, and everybody on the board, on the commission here may not know kind of how this came up to be, but I received a call from Holly late last week talking about that the town had been approached and there was a request to reopen the 18th Street entrance behind the shopping center down here at Chesapeake Village Shopping Center, I think is the correct term. And so we, as a planning body, don't have any documents or anything to necessarily review at this time, but there's a desire to, they were approached by the owner of the shopping center to consider reopening that 18th Street entrance. There's some history to it, and I think we provided that to you for review at a later time. If some of the, and that was the ordinance at where they, that the town council adopted back in 2008. So that's worth reading. But what I did want to do tonight is, again, because we don't have a formal plan or anything like that, but we were approached. Holly asked us as a planning body to solicit and have allow public comment from the folks who might be impacted or anybody in the town who might be impacted by a consideration to reopen that entrance. I think our role in the planning and zoning body is to understand, hear, talk about, analyze, gather that public comment, the concerns from the community, the concern from the owner of the property. And then there's a lot of other things we're going to have to go back and evaluate and take a look at as we try to research this. It's not necessarily our decision to open or reopen or to keep it closed, but I think we have a duty to talk about, what some of those impacts might be, so we could make a recommend. If the town council decided to pursue this further, they would look to us to provide some guidance on what our thoughts might be as a planning body. But we don't have anything to review or approve tonight. But with that, I think what I'd like to do is start this off, and if there's anybody here, is there somebody here from the property? Okay, I'd like you all to come up if you don't mind, and whoever's going to speak, and just the ground rules for how we typically do these. I see a lot of new faces. I see a few familiar faces. But if you could come up to the center podium, state your name, your address, so that we have all of that on record. And it'll help Fran for all of our minutes for when we go back and sort through all of this. But if you come up and discuss, it's your chance for public comment. I'm not going to set a specific time limit, but I would ask you to be considerate of just everybody's time and not filibuster. And we don't usually have that problem at planning and zoning, but I would just throw it out there. And then everybody will have a chance to speak. I'm not going to cut anybody off. I want to make sure that everybody has time to be heard tonight. And I'm not sure we'll ask a lot of questions. We may ask some questions, but again, I'm really in receive mode tonight to just understand where folks stand on something that we haven't done. We haven't done a lot of research on because it just got tossed to me a couple of days ago, and there was a whole lot of work I'd have to do to properly research this. So I'm really in receive mode from y'all, and I appreciate. It's nice to see people care, to be honest. So our meetings aren't usually this well attended. And sometimes I take it personally, but not always. So if the applicant would like to come up and speak.
No, they're being videotaped.
Oh, is it all, it's all videoed?
all new.
So we have a new system in town. I guess I think it started last month. There's a video recorder somewhere, and it runs on, does that get posted to the town website? Okay. Yikes. I should have cleaned
Dressed
up.
better, shaved.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Shirley Pelletier. I live at 3671 Dory Brooks Road, Chesapeake Beach, Maryland. Just clarify, we are not the owners of the shopping center. We are the owners of Roland's.
Was it, did you all?
Yes.
Okay. And it wasn't clear to me who approached Holly or the town?
Yes,
or-
we did.
Okay.
Yes, we did. So this is notes of interest about having a second egress to the shopping center parking lot. With the growth of the area, which we are for, and the construction of a 700-car parking garage at Rod and Reel, Mears Avenue will be congested. Emergency vehicles will need more than one way in and out of the parking lot. When a customer that was walking to Rod and Reel from our parking lot was hit by a car, no one could get in or out of our parking lot, including the ambulance. It's a fire hazard with only one entrance and exit to the shopping center, which shares a main road with Rod and Reel. With 18th Street being closed, the fire hydrant behind the store is also used for the townhomes. The fire department would have to find a key to unlock the blockades, and from the recent fire at Fishing Creek, we all know that the importance of time. It is not fair to town citizens that have been overburdened with tourist traffic when they want to get to the local shopping center. It would be the local folks that would use the unknown rear exit when needed. Rod and Reel Casino is open 24/7. During the summer and fall, concerts run from 7 to 10 p.m. all nights of the week. 4th of July, as we all know and love, is already bad enough. It usually takes about 30 minutes or more to get out of the shopping center parking lot. Now with a somewhat 100-car parking garage, it will be even worse with additional vehicles. We have also contacted the landlord of the shopping center, and they are also willing to put an opening to 17th Street. It was brought up when the 18th Street was originally closed off, but the town was not ready. Even if the road to 18th Street is open until a permanent entrance is open, it would be greatly appreciated by our customers. I just want to thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Any questions? No? Nothing?
Go ahead.
I was not here in 2008 when the ordinance was passed, but I infer that originally 18th Street was open, and then the town took position to close it, and now it's being reopened. Is that the history?
It was, I wasn't in on the first meeting back then. All I know is that, from what we understood, was that they were complaining that people were driving through that area with excess speed. And we offered to put a speed bump back in there at the time, and there wasn't an agreement with that. But if you look at the zoning and planning paper that this is on, where the blockade is not proper. It's supposed to be at the very end of 18th Street. So it was never put up properly in the first place.
But it was open, then closed,
Mhm.
now
Right,
to keep it open.
right.
Okay, I just want to make sure I had
Yes.
that sequence correct.
Yes, I mean, with the growing of the area, it's, for the shopping center itself, I mean, I have a couple pictures here of just the last few days that the parking lot is so packed, it gets to be where it's, people are waiting to get out all the way back to the shopping center where Roland's is, waiting in line to get out of the shopping center. And it's not just because of the bridge traffic, but it's because of all the people that are Rod and Reel gambling, the casino, what's going to happen when the new place comes over here. We're all for growth. Don't get me wrong. We are all for growth, and we like nothing better to see this place grow. It's just that there's one entrance and one exit to a shopping center, which is, to me, a fire hazard, and we would just like to try to make things better for the community.
All right, thank you. Next.
Yeah, I'll start the show.
My name's Wayne Gordy. I live at 3913 18th Street. When that shopping center was built, the builder had trees across there where we got the blockade at. Well, the trees got cut down. And when they did, traffic started coming down 18th Street. Well, a few years ago, we had a head-on a one-block street with a motorcycle and a car. So I don't see where we have to put up with the traffic going up and down through there. When it was open back then, delivery trucks was coming through starting at 2:30 on up. So I don't see where it's necessary to open it up. They need another outlet, let them put it on 261. We shouldn't have to put up with the traffic. That's all I got. Right now, I got a wife that's bedridden, and she don't need to hear all that noise. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna have her, but that's the way it goes. That's life, I guess, but we don't need all that noise on there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's John Muller. I live at 7787 C Street. We've been here since 1984 to find a nice rural life to live in. The hotel has really, I think, I'm not going to go into a great deal, but it has really disrupted the area tremendously. It is harder than the devil to get into C Street or Chesapeake Beach station now with the traffic they had. If you look at the 4th of July, or you look at what we have now when they stop traffic on the bridge, and you sit there for 20 minutes, half hour to get in and out of the shopping center. Well, you know and I know that the semis and the commercial trucks coming to service that center are going to have to come in on 18th if it's open to them. 18th is not built for that kind of traffic. It didn't work that well before when we were using it because, again, people speeding, they come in one end of the shopping center, out the other. It was designed properly. It'd be a great idea. But one thing I will say for the Rod and Reel, they have really worried about their guests, but they have not given a hoot for this city. It has to fit their needs, and everybody else be damned. I mean, if I had my way, I would say the city should make Chesapeake Station a gated community. Give us a gate down there to keep the riffraff out that's going to be coming in here, because it's going to happen. They say it's not going to happen, but it will happen. There's going to be trash, there's going to be drunks, there's going to be people losing their money looking for a house to break into so they can go gamble some more. It's not a good scene. And we have no way to protect it. Right now, you have people parking up and down our street that don't live in our neighborhood. Now, if we open up 18th Street, two things are going to happen. They don't want to put up a traffic light on 17th to handle the traffic trying to come up or down 261 and turn into 17. You got people come up a hill at a rate of speed, you're going to have accidents there unless there's a traffic light. And once they get on there, then they're all going to start funneling into 18th Street, which cuts half of C Street from 17th down to Mears, out of business with people in and out trying to go in two directions. That street's not made for that. So somebody has to get with that organization down at the end of the street and say, you've got to start putting some of the money into the town, not for yourself, but for the people that live here. build a decent road to get in and out of the shopping center. I don't care if you have to build a bridge to do it and take it out 6 miles and come in, but do something. Buy some land, get a shuttle service to keep some of the traffic out of here, park there and shuttle the people into there. But I don't want to see this going on for 24/7, 7 days a week. That's not what this life is all about. That's not what our home values are all about. It's just, I think I've said what I need to say. I just had to vent a little bit before I waited too much longer because, like I say, 1984, I've been very happy here, but I just see more and more and more just lack of consideration on that hotel. They just want to build, make money, and make it easy for their customers, but not for us. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, well, somebody behind you real quick. There's a lady coming up first. We'll get you next.
My name is Margaret Miller, and I live in 7840 C Street. I am the third house up, and I have spotlights in my face now at nighttime in my bedroom window. Big spotlights because of the garage. Okay, that has already happened, but maybe we can do something about this other problem coming in, because I know I talked to the real estate agent, and our property values are down because of that garage. How much further down? It was a young couple came next door looking at the house that's for sale next to me, and she has 2 children. I was honest with her. I said, this is what they propose to do. And if you have 2 young children, you do not, this is going to be a racetrack out here. And so I hope I discouraged her from buying, because it was only the fair thing to let her know what she was in for. And Mr. Donovan can probably name that Donovan Drive, that would just puff him up even more, And I want that to stay open. I want that to stay open. I don't want additional problems than what I already have. And he does not care. I tell you, we have a nice entrance to our townhouses. Just this week, there was a truck that was not just where our property, way up onto the curb in front of this display of the entrance with the flowers and everything, all the way up. New York tags, black truck. I called over there to tell them to, get somebody that, that it's rainy, the ground's wet, it's gonna leave, tracks. Well, whoever I got, he agreed with me. Well, so does Donovan. He'll say, oh, I've complained before when they knock branches off our trees. And he came out, let's show me. Okay, here it is. These are the branches knocked off our trees. Oh, well, right now, this will not happen again. I want to be a good neighbor. I'm going to call. I'm going to have my foreman or supervisor take care of this right now. It's all BS. It's greed. It's greed, and it's vulgar. That's what it is, greed and vulgar.
I have a question for Margaret. I have a question for you. So I got a little confused. So you are against opening that back section on 18th Street?
Yes.
Okay, because I
Yes.
heard you say you wanted to keep it open. You mean keep it
No,
closed?
no.
You want to keep it closed?
Yes, keep
Okay,
it closed. It's
okay,
going
that's
to
what I
create
thought.
more traffic
More
up C
traffic
Street.
down on C Street?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And
So you think the
we have
traffic would
entrances-
come out and go down C Street towards your end? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I think you wanted to go next.
Yeah, my name's Paul Doherty. I live at 4,000 Arcade Court, Chesapeake Station. So the expansion of the rod and reel is a given. We're going to have to, whatever disruption or additional traffic that's going to cause is going to be what it is. So from that point of view, having a second exit from the shopping center is not an unreasonable idea. However, the current exit that's there that was closed off, right now, that configuration just would not support the traffic. The current exit is a single lane wide. 18th Street and C Street that 18th Street empties into are barely 2 lanes wide. On C Street, the residents that park there, when they park on C Street, they park on both sides of the road.
Get one lane down.
There's just enough space for one lane of traffic when there's resident parking on both sides of C Street. So C Street and 18th Street and that current exit just will not support the traffic. A much more reasonable approach, I haven't looked at the configurations, but a much better approach would be to empty out into 17th Street, or possibly, if it's feasible, empty out on 261. So that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
My name's Mary Mathis. I live at 7788 C Street. I guess I have a completely different perspective on what I see happening here. I think everybody's culpable. We had a meeting when the rod and reel was approved. They presented their traffic pattern. The town of Chesapeake Beach did not choose to pay the money to get their own traffic pattern to see if their idea was viable. You accepted it, and you went with it. The hotel is not done, the overpass is not finished, and it's very clear now that it was a bad choice, and we all own that. I stood here in front of you and questioned the stop sign coming off of the hotel, which was an intersection onto Mears Avenue, and the Planning and Zoning Board required that that stop sign was to stay in place. It is now being turned into a merge lane. Town Hall's doing nothing about it. Planning and Zoning is doing nothing about it. You guys own that. So now we have a situation where it's a community that is not geared for the kind of traffic that you're talking about. I don't know how a commercial vehicle is going to maneuver that street, but you know they're going to. It's going to become a habit. And even if the road were to open up, they would still continue to use that entrance. At this point, I think it has to be re-examined. I don't know that it would be thinking outside the box to go ahead and close off Mears Avenue to C Street and to Rod and Reel and let Mr. Donovan lease it from the company, from the town hall, and then extend the suicide lane several hundred feet down and have an entrance off the main road into the shopping center. I believe that that's how you fix the problem and not put a Band-Aid on it. We all own this decision. Let's not half-ass it. Let's do it right. Let's get that stop sign in there. Let's monitor Mears Avenue the way we were promised it was going to operate, and let's fix what doesn't work before he fills that parking lot or that parking garage.
Thanks.
Every single one of you are responsible for this, not him.
Anybody else?
I can't compete with that. I'm Jim Everett. I live at 3917 18th Street, live right on the corner. And yes, I'm totally against opening up the back of the Rollins. Even if it was open, you have to redesign the Rollins' parking lot. You have to redo the street. The entrance is too small. Like I said, it's a single lane. C Street, like I said, when everybody's home, cars are on both sides, and it's a one lane drive. So we already have problems with just UPS, FedEx, with their box trucks. Once they stop to make deliveries, you don't get through. You don't get up and down C Street, and you sure don't go up and down 18th Street at all. So yes, I'm totally against it, and I just see, even if you were to even think about opening it, the coming around the backside of Rollins is a one-way travel. So if you have to widen that to make it 2 lanes, and that's their loading zone. So you're gonna open all that up, and and the end of 18th Street you're gonna end up widening 18th Street, you're gonna widen C Street, just to get any kind of trucks or travel through there at any point in time. So that's all I got to say. No, thank you.
Thanks. You're all right, you're all right. Go ahead. He'll let you go.
Sorry.
Everybody's gonna get a turn.
My name is Pamela Johnson. I live at 7731 C Street. My husband and I have been a resident of Chesapeake Beach for 22 years. We live diagonally across from 18th Street and C Street. We have an unobstructed view of 18th and C and an unobstructed view of 17th and C for 6 months of the year. We were here before 18th Street was closed to the shopping center. It was dangerous then, so it was closed. Now traffic has increased, so you are trying to solve that problem by opening up the old problem. We have more pedestrians on C Street than ever before. Children are playing on C Street, and new families are moving in on 18th Street. We have had numerous close calls on C Street, and we are firsthand observers of these. I'll just give you a few. A truck hit the wooden wall at the house across the street from me. A car turned the corner at 17th and C Street at a high speed and lost control. He was going north, which means coming down C Street. 2 cars nearly collided at 18th and C in front of my husband while walking our dog. If 18th Street is open to the shopping center, several safety issues need to be addressed. Cars exiting 18th Street will no doubt be turning south, then turning right on 17th, and then exiting onto 261. You cannot see oncoming traffic going out of 17th Street. An accident is waiting to happen there. Some may have already that I didn't see. Cars turning at 17th and C north towards 18th Street do not stop at the stop sign and do not obey the speed limit. A calming strip is needed between 17th and 18th Street. Cars exiting 18th Street do not obey the stop sign. I would recommend a camera at that intersection there, or a calming strip. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Scott Ryan. I've lived in Chesapeake Beach since about 97. I live right on 18th Street, 3910 18th Street. I think reopening it would be a horrible idea. I remember when it was open. We're going to have bread trucks, cookie trucks coming in and out. It doesn't matter what kind of signage you put up there, no trucks allowed over a certain weight or any kind of speed bumps. People are going to use that, and they're going to use it at all crazy hours, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, waking the residents up of not just 18th Street, but coming through the neighborhood of Chesapeake Station. So I'm totally against it. I think it should stay closed permanently. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other public comment? No, you,
My name is Sven Tulin, and I live at 4007 Arcade Court. When the bridge construction was initiated and hearings were held about the planning for that, I submitted a traffic plan for Mears Avenue, C Street, and the shopping center to members of the town council. I put it in the mail. To try and do what I thought was a good traffic plan. I don't think opening the back of Roland's is going to solve it. It's not designed for any kind of traffic flow through there. It's a parking lot basically for employees in there. But there is a need for traffic control in there. And the plan that I submitted, I I heard back from one representative, it was Jeff Kraling at the time. I got a written answer back from him. But the thing moved on so quickly that, and nothing was really done about traffic on Mears Avenue. The intersection of Mears Avenue at the shopping center and with the emptying driveway that existed at that time, and I don't know whether it would continue, from the Rod and Reel parking lot, makes it a four-way intersection right there. And there's been, it's already been alluded to that there was a serious traffic accident with serious injuries right at the exit from the shopping center. And people couldn't get in or out, and emergency vehicles couldn't get in. And that kind of problem is just continues. But there is a possibility of controlling the traffic, and I can resurrect that plan, but it would involve closing the exit from the exit that existed before the present parking lot construction. It would involve closing that exit from the Rod and Reel across to the shopping center and closing the median between that exit, the Rod and Reel exit that exists there, closing that opening in the median so that all traffic coming out of the shopping center would go to a roundabout at the end of Mears Avenue, so that all traffic, C Street traffic, the shopping center traffic, would go one way down to that roundabout and circle back, and then you would have an adequate holding area for traffic seeking to get back on 261. Does anybody read that? You'd have a roundabout there so that all traffic exiting would be right turns, and it would move to a roundabout and be joined by Rod and Reel traffic entering that roundabout, and then all traffic would exit to 261 from that position and have a longer runway to get into that position, waiting for lights to allow them to leave. Another thing that could still be done, but the town has to ask for it and demand it, is to get an exit from 261 into the shopping center down near the bank. There's less of an incline there. You could still get a runway. Somebody mentioned that. I believe it was this lady here. Could still be done so that people could turn into the shopping center. Northbound traffic on 261 could turn into the shopping center just about where the bank is, at that last row. That could still be done. The incline or drop off from 261 into the shopping center would not be that great. But I think the answer to using the Roland's parking lot and driveway into that loading area would at best be a temporary kind of an answer. It wouldn't solve the overall problem. But I think it could be helped by two things: the exit from 261, entrance from 261 into the for northbound 261 traffic into the parking lot, and the other making a roundabout at the end of Mears Avenue so that all traffic coming out of the shopping center and C Street makes a right turn and goes around. That's my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Oh,
I'm Jim Bookstein. I'm at 4004 C Street, 17th Street. And just a note, because that walkway to Brownie Beach is at the end of 17th Street, it's a wonderful place if you like to watch people. And the dogs and the people that come down, and they walk from all over the town to come through, and they come up and down C Street. There are no sidewalks. And this starts at 5:30 in the morning. There's no sidewalks, people walk in groups of 3 and 4, they walk right down the middle of the street. And that's
Guilty.
gonna end, so they're gonna, there's really no place for them to drive in and park. They do, just like the fishermen come in and park on 17th Street where they can find a spot. But the walking traffic is great, and there are no sidewalks. And so that's a whole nother investment. Nobody really wants sidewalks. What's the answer is, let's not have a lot of traffic except the locals. Okay, thank you.
Along those lines, just so you're, for those of you, some of the faces I haven't seen at some of the other hearings on the comprehensive plan stuff. So we had a presentation last month for everybody's awareness from there was a subcommittee on town council for walkability and stuff throughout the town, and that subcommittee is chartered under the town council, but they gave us a report in the planning and zoning and presented some stuff, and it's exactly what you said, sir, about, they didn't think there was a desire or an appropriateness for sidewalks back through there, but they wanted to encourage some additional signage because it is kind of that pathway from this part of town back to the boardwalk and down to Brownies Beach. And again, there's some, part of their desire and our desire in the comprehensive plan is to, try to connect some of those areas of town, both pedestrian and bicycle, and have those ways of connection. And so they did not express a desire, nor has anybody else in any of our comprehensive plans about, they like the quietness of C Street in that it is still fairly safe, that there is a large pedestrian population that uses that, and there was a desire to maintain that through that part of town. So just, you got some support from the folks who have looked at some of the walkability issues and connectivity issues in town. Anybody else? Anybody? So again, as I mentioned at the start of the public comment period for this, I think we as a body one of our main resources, Chris Jakubiak, who's our town planning and zoning administrator, is not able to be with us tonight. This is an issue he's trying to do some additional research on just any of the aspects that that maybe someone hasn't addressed or that's not apparent right on the surface of it. He's trying to do some research on anything else that we might need to consider, and some again, understand the history of the original ordinance, understand some of the other code issues that may be applicable. And again, I think what we will do, or I intend to do, is we're going to do some homework between now and our next plan and zoning meeting. We will have another public, I intend to have an additional opportunity, I think as we look at this, we may have some additional comments we want to share at next month's meeting, and we'll have another public comment period at that time. So if there's other stuff that you're concerned about or that you didn't get it, that again, some of my strange thoughts come to my head at walking at 5 a.m. And again, so jot them down. This isn't a dead issue, but I heard a lot of strong comments tonight from folks, so I appreciate you coming out and sharing those with us. We'll certainly take all of that under advisement and consideration. We're going to do some research as well, but I intend to, have additional, there will be opportunity on this issue at the next planning and zoning, and we'll have it on the agenda item. So again, if someone wasn't able to make it, one of your neighbors thinks there's something else they would like to share with us and make sure that we're aware of, look for the next we'll have it as an agenda item on our next plan and zoning meeting.
Mr. Chair, I just have a process question.
Sure.
As I understand it, there's nothing formally before
There's
the
not.
planning commission.
There's not.
So are we putting the cart before the horse until we get some sort of proposal either from the owner or from the town council or somebody?
I think that's part of what I'll have to have another talk with the mayor and just the town administrator and understand, is there something they're going to look for from us, from a planning body? And that's, I think, part of my explanation to them is I don't have anything specific to comment on or to critique or, you know, but it is out there. And so I felt like we needed an opportunity to hear from the town of any concerns of anybody who's affected by it. But it's going to be a further conversation with the mayor or the town administrator to understand how they want us to engage on it.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Oh, go ahead. Come on up.
Can you step up to the microphone, please?
My question is, how many of you on this council live in Chesapeake Beach? And where does the...
all of us.
You live there?
We all do.
Okay, and are you live in Chesapeake Beach? Both of you are on this council. And where does this Mr. Jubiak live? Where does he live?
I don't know.
I heard he lived in Towson, Maryland. And I don't think that that person who's giving out all these permits that's not here tonight should have that much say in we, the people that pay the taxes in this town and live here. So I hope you do carry back all these strong concerns of ours.
And this isn't something that Chris would approve. It would be, if there was something that was before us to approve or take action on, it would come before this body. And that's not, Chris doesn't vote on those items. He is a contracted resource to the town as our, to review town, you know, planning and zoning matters for the town. So, that's, he's a contracted staff employee who consults and is a certified planner and administrator by trade and schooling and credentials to advise us. But he doesn't, any of these large complex site permits, site plans, whether they're whether they're development issues or anything like that, he doesn't approve those permits. He will approve a regular residential permit for a house that's conforming to the existing zoning, but those are small residential site plans. He doesn't. All those other Category 2 site plans come before this planning body for approval. So that's all I'd like to say. I mean, but we all of us members who are part of the planning and zoning committee are residents of Chesapeake Beach.
You all are? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay, it's just the
yeah,
chairman.
yeah. We all live here.
Thank you.
Yep. Can you let Valerie go real quick?
Valerie Bodine, 8307 Bayside Road, Chesapeake Beach. And just as a part of process, my expectation is that if this were to come before town council, it would come before us as an ordinance, much like in 2008. So that would be the process, is someone would have to proactively do an ordinance that then would have public hearings and such. It would come before town council. So that's from a process point of view, that would be my expectation.
Thanks, Valerie.
No problem.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Mary Mathis, 7788 C Street. And I've listened to a lot, and there's one thing that seems to come to surface that we're not talking about. There's been a lot of accusations made about the rod and reel, but Rollins, who has a right to do business just like the rod and reel does, except he doesn't own the shopping center. My question is, the owner of the shopping center appears to be absent tonight, and we don't know what his opinion is.
We don't. Correct. Want to come up?
The opinion of the shopping center is that I talked to the landlord on last Thursday or Friday. They are willing to do an egress from the shopping center to 17th Street. The part of the area that you're talking about is owned partially by the state, from what I understand, and the landlord. They own the property in between Rollins and 17th Street. And they are willing, and they were willing to do this in 2008, and it wasn't, I guess the town wasn't ready for it, they didn't know how to approach it or whatever. We are willing, the landlord is willing, and the reason that they're not here tonight is because I was given the wrong date for the meeting tonight. They told me it was on the 6th. That's what I told the landlord it was. But the landlord has been notified about it, and they are willing to do an egress. It doesn't have to be a two-way entrance, exit. It would be a one-way in, one way out, however everybody decides it's the easiest or the best for the community. That's the same with what we want to do with 18th Street, is to use it just for an exit area or an entrance area. Not for the delivery trucks, not for, that's not what it's for. It's for the community. It's for the fire department. It's for the accessibility to safety reasons. The delivery trucks would not even be allowed, our delivery trucks would not be allowed to go back there. That's not what this is about. But the landlord has been notified. They are supposed to talk to each other and let each other know. I will hopefully have something from them that I can bring it to the next meeting and let them know. But they are willing to do something from the parking lot to 17th Street or onto 261, whichever, I guess the state would have to get involved. I'm not really sure how all that works. So, but that is something that has been talked about.
So you have approached the owner about another egress out to 261 going off of Mears? Is that what you just said?
No.
Not
off
off
of
of Mears.
261.
From the back of the parking lot, where 18th Street's here.
Oh, so you're talking about using that same back area behind Rollins?
Right.
Not going forward and going around PNC or around that other area? You're
No,
just
no.
talking about right behind
Right.
your facility?
Because
Okay.
the landlord owns that property.
The landlord owns that property, not
Right.
Rollins, exactly.
Right.
Right, exactly.
They own that property right behind, there's 18th Street, and then there's a house that sits right here. 261 is here, and that property right there is owned by the landlord. And I guess part of the state owns part of the road, and I'm not sure
Yeah.
how that works.
Has anybody else in that plaza complained about egress? Or is it just, is Rollins the only one that is seeming to have a problem there?
No, it's everybody, and since all this started, everybody's complained. We complained to the landlord. We've had security out there trying to stop people from parking over there. It's not just us. We're the
Parking over where?
In the
in our
shopping center
parking lot from Rod and Reel, the people that,
You mean the construction crew, or?
Well,
Oh, you
everybody.
mean, oh, you mean the people that are gambling? The people that are
construction crew, the
gambling. Okay,
gamblers, the
got it.
construction people park
Right.
there also.
Right,
Um,
right.
When they have concerts or when they have their Sunday brunches, our parking lot is half full already. You know, since.
Well, those issues should resolve once the parking lot's open, right? Those particular issues you're talking about? Or
Well, those
be resolved?
particular, yes.
Yeah,
But we're talking about now you've got 700 cars trying to get out of one little area. That's our biggest issue is that we already have a hard enough time now without having 700 more additional vehicles trying to get, I'm not saying they're all getting out at one time. Think about 4th of July that we have the issue with now. Add another 400 cars to that, and we're stuck in that parking lot for an hour and a half, 2 hours. You know, we're just looking for a way to allow the fire department, the emergency vehicles if needed, to get in and out, customers to get in and out without having to wait in line for 20, 25 minutes to get out of the parking lot. And this isn't just because of the Rod and Reel or just because of the bridge. This is an ongoing problem that we've had for quite a few years.
okay.
This
Didn't
isn't
realize
something that just popped up and said, hey, it's just become more noticeable and more problematic because of the parking situation right now, the bridge situation, and I think what got me the worst was when we had an accident right there by the bridge, I mean, not by the bridge, by the bank in CVS. An 82-year-old woman hit a pedestrian, and nobody could get in or out, including the ambulance. So that was more upsetting to me than anything, because what happens if a real fire or a real emergency happens? Well, that was a real emergency, but, you know, what do we do? Jump over the curb? I mean, we're just trying to make a living, just like everybody else. And like I said, we're for the growth of the community. The traffic is awful here. We all know that. We all live with it. I just want safety for the business and the people that shop there. It has nothing to do, I don't want my delivery trucks to go through 18th Street or 17th Street. That's not what it's for. And our drivers will be told, absolutely not. Now, what Rod and Reel does is none of my business. My trucks will not be on that road. They come down 260 or 261, and they know how to get into our store. It will not be used for anything else. And if it does, they will be told not to deliver there anymore. We have no problem with that. We are not here for us. We're here for the community, and we're here to make a living just like everybody else. We're looking for safety first. That's it. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Shirley. Go ahead.
Yeah, again, Paul Doherty, 4,000 Arcade Court. What that lady just said triggered something in my mind. It's a related issue, but it's connected to the, the issue of the exit, the 18th Street exit. That parking lot at the shopping center is not well laid out. There's too many traffic spaces. The lanes are too narrow. If you go to look at that parking lot, say on a Friday afternoon, when you have a lot of shoppers coming in to shop at the shopping center, you'll see cars parked along the curb. Even though the curb is painted yellow, there's no enforcement. You can barely get a car through the lane. Parking in the park, it's very congested in that parking lot. So you start opening up another exit, how will that impact the congestion? I don't know. But I think that's something that needs to be taken in as a factor.
Thank you.
All right.
You had one more comment, ma'am?
Question, please.
Okay.
Pamela Johnson, 7731C. Question concerning an emergency situation for the shopping center. How difficult is it to open up those barriers in an emergency situation?
When they put them barricades up, all the locks was keyed the same. And I had a key in every emergency vehicle over there. Were they still there or not, you'd have to ask the chief, but I had put one in there. And them things will fold right down after you take the lock out and pull the pin.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
I hope this hasn't been raised because we came in late.
You could say your name and address, please.
Jennifer Parmalee, 700 C Street.
Okay.
And I just the issue of safety was something which I think if we're going to get more traffic in that area of 17th and C and everything, as a result of the possible change. Right now, we just want to put on the record that 17th Street between C and Bayside Road does not have a speeding sign on it. There's not, all the other, anywhere it meets, all the 3-4 roads meet, they all have, children playing 15 miles per hour. Ours does not. That stretch doesn't have one. And people are speeding ever more down that road. I mean, it's really crazy. We have people like drag racing down that road. And as you know, it's full of dogs and people and kids and everything. So we don't know, at least put a sign up there. And I mean, my neighbor thought we should put a speed bump, but I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Do you gentlemen have any other comments? Anything you want to?
First, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I know it's a tough time to come. I am your neighbor, by the way. I live on C Street, and this issue does concern me personally, so I understand. Everybody brought up really great issues. The fact that it's used as a pedestrian crosswalk all the way up and down C Street and 18th and 17th. I mean, all that is being used by dogs, kids, adults. Everybody's, they're jogging in early morning with headphones in. They don't hear traffic coming. So I think I am completely aware of all that. I am concerned because it's really a one-lane road. C Street's really one lane. And then, of course, 18th and 17th, they're not much larger either. So to make that an egress from a major shopping plaza would be a tremendous concern, in my opinion. So I hear what everybody's saying, and I really appreciate your comments. And luckily, we have several towns council people here who are caring people that are going to hear all of your comments, and of course, it's being recorded. So thank you all for sharing. And I do think that, you know, the plaza may have an issue, and we may have to address that in the plaza itself. So I think we need to have the owners come in, we need to sit down and maybe reevaluate. Sven's got some great ideas. We need to really see what else we can do to make it an easier egress if necessary, and maybe add a lane, maybe add different types of signs, stop lights. We have to really maybe suggest a traffic study of our own if we've got this kind of a problem. So thank you very much for coming in.
You come up to the mic, please, just so it gets recorded.
I'll try to be quick.
It's all right.
To kind of think through the size of the commercial trucks and everything that come down, we got a lot of trailer trucks. As you're coming down here to Mears, and you're going to be turning into Mears now to go to Rollins or to the Rod and Reel, there's the bank. It's got its drive-through lane. If you had your turn lane and you say, shopping center, stay right, so when you make your turn in there, you veer off and you kind of parallel the drive-through. That'll give those big long trucks and everything a straight shot down the shopping center to Rollins and to the other places. And then if you had the egress out the other side, they can continue out that way, and you don't have these big trucks getting jammed up all the time trying to get in and out of the area. So, you know, that might be a consideration in a redesign. You're not widening 261. You're just, when you're turning, you say, okay, when you're turning, stay left to go Rod and Reel, stay right, and take that off-ramp that goes into the shopping center. And it would be a straight cut for the trucks too, where they wouldn't have to try to get that big rig around the drive over all the curbing. You know, we put in curbing and they busted up. That's all.
Thank you. If there's no other public comment or any other comments from the commission, we'll move on to number 5, which is general public comment. So again, typically what we do is, oftentimes we have folks here, we've had a discussion about our comprehensive plan because that's one of our major initiatives that we've been working on for the last 9 months. But we didn't have a presentation tonight specifically about the comprehensive plan, just because of some scheduling conflicts. So I don't have anything more to add about the comprehensive plan other than if you see our little tripod thing out there that talks, for those of you who have access to the internet, there's a link on there where, you know, we try to put up some survey questions and solicit input and ask your opinion on some of the things as it relates to the comprehensive plan. If you don't have access to a computer, you're more than welcome to come up during the daytime when Fran is here, and she has some hard copy survey stuff. But we're still collecting input and, you know, trying to work through this comprehensive plan to make sure we kind of understand some of the long-range vision of where the residents would like to see the town in 2040 and beyond. And again, that's really the focus of the comprehensive plan. It's not a 2-year, 3-year, 5-year plan. It's 2040 and beyond. But since you're here and there's some I'd see a couple faces that have been at some of those, but for those of you who haven't, you know, I still encourage you to participate in that process if you're willing and able to do that. Is there any other public comment? Anything else that anyone wants to speak about?
I got one other thing.
Okay.
Jim Everett, I live at 3917 18th Street. On C Street, right outside of my house, we're at the lowest point on C Street. And we get a lake every time it rains. And I guess the Public Works comes out, they dig a trench to the drainage tile that's, you know, well below grade, and it doesn't help. It doesn't help. Now, I've sent videos, I've sent emails with videos in it. I get no response. Even sent one to North Beach, and they were quick to tell me that
That you live in Chesapeake Beach.
They don't cover anything on C Street. So,
Okay.
but yeah, it is. I don't know if a little concrete cauldron that would go from the street to get the water off of it, because that is another concern. I mean, you know, like I said, we do have a lot of foot traffic. We don't have sidewalks. Everybody walks the street.
Yeah, and the
And
dogs get
when
wet.
it rains,
And then-
the water actually will cover the entire C Street. So,
I'm familiar with it.
yeah, so let's work on that one too. So,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Does anybody on the commission have any other comments tonight? All right. I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I sincerely do. And if there's no other public comment, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? Second. All those in favor say aye. All right. The meeting for May 8th, Planning and Zoning is adjourned. Thank you. Consideration for parking garage. I was. So I will tell you. Man.
I mean, it's been discussed.